Welcome back, my amazing listeners. I hope life has been kind to you lately. And even if it hasn't, remember, storms don't last forever. Today, I bring you a story that might just send chills down your spine. A story shared by an anonymous soul who had a brush with something unseen. Something most people don't dare to talk about, but we will, because here we don't run from the unknown. We try to understand it. Now, I know many roll their eyes at the mention of the supernatural. Ghosts, spirits, come on, they say, but those who felt it, those who've seen it, they know. They know that the spiritual realm is not just some bedtime tale. It's real, and it's closer than we think. So lean in, get comfortable, but don't get too comfortable, because what you're about to hear might just have you sleeping with the lights on tonight. And before we dive in, drop your thoughts in the comments, tell me your theories, or share your own encounters. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more stories coming that'll make your heart race and your soul question everything. Alright, let's go. Why I believe prayer works. A journey through darkness and light. I often chuckle when people boldly declare that they're atheists or that spirituality is just a myth. But what truly moved me to write this was hearing someone say, prayer is useless, doesn't work. Oh, my dear brother, my dear sister, how wrong that statement is. You see, prayer does work, especially when it comes from a righteous heart. I'm not here to argue theology or force beliefs. I just want to share my story. The raw, real experience that shaped my life and showed me just how powerful prayer truly is. Let me take you back to when it all began. I was in SS1, my first year of senior secondary school, or rather my second attempt at SS1. I had just repeated the class because of my poor academic performance. I was crushed, the shame, the disappointment. When I first transferred to my new school, life felt like it was finally falling into place. Compared to my previous schools, I was picking up academically fast. I felt sharp, on fire, as they say, I day hot. My grades were up, and I felt like I was finally on the right path. But then something strange began to happen. It started during my second term. I began to experience what I can only describe as spiritual attacks. Strange dreams that left me feeling shaken. One night I found myself in a dream, standing in a dark, unfamiliar place. It wasn't just dark, it felt off, cold, empty. At first, I was just playing around like any normal dream, but then I saw something odd on the ground, a simple groundnut shell. It might sound silly, but in that dream, something in me whispered, you can fly with that shell. And just as quickly, another voice crept into my mind, darker and more serious. If you try it, you'll become a witch. My heart pounded. The first voice tried to tempt me again. It started like any other night, but something was different. Even after I opened my eyes fully awake, I could still feel it. The heavy, suffocating presence of something dark. An evil spirit lingering. My body tingled with tiny electric shocks, like invisible needles pricking at my skin. Fear gripped me so tightly I could hardly breathe. Panicked, I ran straight to my mother's room. She was already shivering, almost like she'd felt it too. Without hesitation, she gathered me in her arms and began to pray. Her words were like a shield, a light in the darkness. Slowly, the fear began to fade, and I was finally able to fall asleep. But that was only the beginning. A week later, I had another dream, only this time it felt too real to be just a dream. An old woman appeared, her eyes burning with something I couldn't understand. She came to attack me. This time I couldn't run. My legs were frozen. I was trapped. I woke up, heart racing, soaked in sweat. And from then on, the attacks became constant. Once a week, then twice, sometimes more. Each night brought something new, more fear, more darkness. Nightmares plagued me. I saw myself in strange, terrifying places. Different covens, unfamiliar faces, chants in unknown tongues. I would wake up gasping, trembling, afraid to go back to sleep. It was like something, or someone, was chasing me through my dreams, and I didn't know how long I could keep running. It happened back when I was in SS3. My friend's mother had just passed away, and something strange began to stir inside me. I can't explain it fully. Maybe it was something I watched in a movie, or maybe it was something much deeper. But I suddenly felt like I had the ability to communicate with the dead. It wasn't just a passing thought. It was a deep, haunting instinct. Something in me just knew I was different, special, chosen even. But if there's one piece of advice I could give you, it's this: never try to speak to the dead. It doesn't always go the way you think it will. That night, I lay in bed, heart racing, mind focused. I decided I would try to reach out to my friend's late mother. I thought, maybe I could ask her if she had a message for her son. Something he needed to hear, some kind of closure. As soon as I closed my eyes, I slipped into sleep fast, too fast. In my dream she appeared. First she seemed calm, familiar, but the moment I approached her and asked what message she had for her son, everything changed. Her face twisted, her eyes darkened, and then she attacked me. I felt her cold, invisible hands pulling me toward her, dragging me into something I couldn't understand. I screamed, I fought, but I was powerless. My body wouldn't respond. I was trapped. Then, just as I was about to give in, a force burst into the dream. A powerful, blinding white light that came like a rushing wind. It hit us with such strength that it broke her grip and flung her back. I gasped and suddenly, I woke up, shaken, heart pounding, eyes wide. That was the moment I realized I hadn't been speaking to my friend's mom at all. I had summoned something else. A demon that took her form to deceive me, to haunt me, but God, in His infinite mercy, saved me. His eternal light shattered the darkness and pulled me back, and I've never tried anything like that again. There's always been something different about me. Even when darkness seemed to surround me, I could still see glimpses of the future, through dreams. Vivid, powerful dreams that revealed what was yet to come. But these dreams came at a price. Every time I prayed, it was like I stirred the hornet's nest. The attacks in my sleep intensified, more terrifying, more relentless. Still I prayed, still I dreamed. Back in secondary school, I thought I had it all figured out. I believed the strange things happening to me were because of some classmate who didn't like me. The attacks had started when I entered that school, after all. So, when I finally graduated, I felt like the happiest person alive. I was free, or so I thought. But freedom was an illusion. The attacks didn't stop. They got worse, stronger, more haunting. Then came university. I wasn't exactly the most serious student, I'll admit, but somehow my GPA was impressive. People couldn't understand how I pulled it off. Maybe it was because of the solid academic foundation I had. I went to the best secondary school in my hometown after all. Still, the strange dreams followed me into university. In my first year, they became almost constant. I would see myself bathing in public, exposed, vulnerable. Sometimes I'd be completely naked, surrounded by people. Other times, I'd be walking through my old primary school barefoot, without even slippers, embarrassed and confused. It was as if these dreams were trying to tell me something about my past, my pain, my path, maybe even my purpose. Despite the fear, despite the attacks, one thing has always stayed true. I can still see. Through the darkness, through the confusion, I see what others can't. And maybe that's my gift, or maybe it's my burden. I didn't know it at the time, but what I was battling was a spirit of backwardness. Something dark, something unseen, quietly pulling me back. In school, my results were still okay, but I could see the decline little by little. It wasn't drastic, but it was steady, and I knew something wasn't right. By the second semester of my 200 level, I'd had enough. Deep inside, I made a decision: this oppression has to stop. So I began to fight back. I started fasting and praying at least 3 days straight, pouring my heart out to God. I even decided to let go of my addiction to masturbation, a secret struggle I had been battling for a long time. I was serious, determined, but on the 4th day something changed. Out of nowhere, I lost the urge to pray, the fire, the strength, it just vanished. And that night when I got into bed, the temptation hit me like a flood. It wasn't normal. It was heavy, intense, almost like a force beyond me. I gave in. Right after, I broke down in tears, begging God to forgive me. But the next morning it happened again. And this time, something dark came. It was a spirit, angry, furious. I could see it, feel it. It pressed me down as if saying, after all your prayers, you opened the door again? Now it's our time. I was terrified. It was like everything I had fought to push away came rushing back. And yet my gift remained. That strange, powerful instinct I had to see things before they happened. It didn't go away. I remember the day Nigeria played Ivory Coast in the Nations Cup. I was watching the match with my friend, and I told him, Ivory Coast will equalize, but then Nigeria will score again and win 2-1. He looked at me like I was crazy, but everything happened just as I said. When Nigeria won, he looked at me like I was some kind of witch. How did you know? He asked. I couldn't explain it. I just knew. But then came 300 level. That year was the worst. My results were horrible, full of D's and E's. I cried. I knew what I wrote, and I knew I didn't deserve that. That night in my sleep I saw her, the same old woman who had attacked me back in SS2. Right after I received that gift from God, she stood there laughing, boasting, I'm the one who marked your paper, not your lecturer." And then I woke up. My heart pounded. I realized then, this wasn't just life, this was war, spiritual war. I returned to fasting and prayer, and in my dreams I saw a terrifying vision. Cats moving into the forest, from the smallest to the largest. Then, a woman from my church appeared and told me to run, that the witches and wizards were going to reinforce and attack me again. Out of fear I listened. I ran, but that was a mistake. Suddenly, a mighty wind lifted me up, as if to smash me against the earth. That's when I woke up breathless. In that moment, it hit me. The woman in the dream wasn't sent by God. She was a deceiver, a demonic agent. She used fear to trick me into running, and fear gave the enemy power over me. I was in a real battle, one not fought with fists or words, but with spirit and truth, and I knew if I wanted to win I had to stop running and start standing. For weeks I had been deep in fasting and prayer. My spirit was on fire, crying out to God for peace, for freedom, for rest. But it felt like every time I pressed in spiritually, darkness pushed back. It wasn't just a feeling, it was war. One night while asleep I found myself in a dream. I was at my cousin's house. Everything looked normal at first, but suddenly, that familiar heaviness crept in again, the kind that presses you down, paralyzing you in fear. Only this time I could see what was attacking me. Two shadowy figures were trying to press me from a distance, but something in me snapped. Not with fear, but with boldness. I gathered strength, broke free from their grip, and chased them. I was fast, I was focused, and I caught one. What happened next shocked me. The witch I caught instantly transformed into a helpless baby, confused but filled with anger. I grabbed the child and started hitting him. "You don't want me to rest?" I shouted, each punch fueled by the pain and torment I had endured. "Then I won't let you rest either." But with every injury I gave him, he healed instantly. No scar, no blood, just a blank stare as if nothing had happened. I was disgusted, furious. His healing power mocked me. So I said to him, "Let's see if your powers can save you from this." I lit a gas fire and threw him in, but to my horror, the flames died the moment his body touched them. When I pulled him out, the fire roared back to life. That's when I noticed I was no longer alone. All around me, a crowd of witches had appeared. Their faces were fierce. They came to rescue the one I had caught. My anger blazed like a wildfire. I was ready to fight all of them, but just as I charged toward them, one of them blew something into my face, like dust or smoke, and I woke up instantly. I sat up in bed furious. "God," I said, "why did you let them wake me up?" I was ready. I wanted to finish this battle. I've suffered too much to stop now. But that wasn't the end. During my fast, I had another vision. I found myself underwater, not drowning but held. There, I met a queen of the marine world. Her presence was commanding. She looked at me with authority and ordered me to obey her. But I refused. She turned to another prisoner beside her, gave him the same command, and he obeyed without hesitation. Then she looked at me again. "You may resist my voice," she said coldly, "but you will remain here with me." I stared her in the eyes and replied, "God will send his angel to deliver me, and I believe that, with all my heart. There's so much more I've seen. Things I've chosen not to share yet for personal reasons, but I'll tell more soon, especially about how the marine kingdom operates. This story, as intense as it sounds, is just the beginning. May Jehovah bless and protect all of us. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, thank you to everyone who tuned in for this ride. I can't lie, this whole testimony, it's not something new to me. I myself have gone through a handful of spiritual attacks, so I can tell you from experience, it's very real. But hey, take it with a grain of salt if you choose to. Still, thank you again. Truly, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. We always love to hear your thoughts. And if you have a story or a personal experience you want to share with the family, don't hesitate to reach out. We will respond. That's a promise. Have a blessed day, and keep your faith up. Till next time.